Gathering the fractured first rays of dawn filtered through the grimy window, casting pale light across the cracked T-walls. The safe house felt colder somehow, like the night had stolen what little warmth we'd found. Arya was already moving, checking the few supplies we'd scavenged. I traced the lines of exhaustion on her face, knowing we both felt it, like we'd been pulled from the edge of something darker than death. We can't stay here, I said. They'll find us eventually. Her nod was sharp, decisive. I know. But first, we need allies. People who remember what it means to fight for themselves. I pulled a crumpled map from my jacket pocket. Faint marks showed where others like us might be hiding, fractured remnants of resistance. The others, I said. If they're alive, we find them. We build something stronger. Maria's eyes met mine, no hesitation, no fear. Just fierce, burning resolve. Then we move. Before they close the net. Outside, the city woke around us, unaware of the war stirring just beneath its surface. And we were ready to tear it open. First fragile light of dawn seeped through the cracked window panes, painting the dust motes in a soft amber glow. The safe house, once a refuge, now felt like a cage, its cold, peeling walls pressing down on us as the weight of the coming day settled heavy in the air. The silence was thick, broken only by the distant hum of the city waking up and the occasional drip of water somewhere in the shadows. Arya moved quietly across the room, gathering what little supplies we had, a tattered backpack, a half-empty bottle of water, a battered flashlight. Each small movement was measured, careful, like every step held the fragile thread of our survival. I stayed rooted on the threadbare couch, my fingers tracing the lines of the map tucked inside my jacket. The paper was worn and creased, dotted with faint marks and scribbles, locations whispered to me in hurried, breathless tones from contacts I barely trusted but had to believe. Safe spots. Hideouts. Ghosts like us. We can't stay here long, I finally said, breaking the silence, voice low and rough. They'll find us. Carl's words, they're not just threats. They're promises. Arya turned to me, eyes sharp and unyielding despite the exhaustion shadowing her face. I know. But we need to move smart. Rushing blindly gets people killed. I nodded slowly, letting the tension ease just a fraction. We find the others. The ones who slipped through the cracks. The ones who still remember how to fight. He crouched beside me, fingers brushing the edges of the map. There's a network, fractured scattered, but alive. Safe houses, abandoned warehouses, even some old tunnels beneath the city. If we're lucky, some of them have weapons, maybe even intel. 20Y throat tightened. Intel could mean everything. If we can get hold of it, maybe we can turn their own system against them. Maria's eyes flicked up, meeting mine with fierce resolve. Then we don't waste time. I folded the map carefully, slipping it back into my jacket. There's a place, near the docks. Old shipping containers, easy to defend. If anyone's out there, they might be there. He stood, determination setting the rhythm of her breath. Then that's where we start. But we need more than hope and makeshift plans. We need weapons. Communication. Trust. A flicker of a smile crossed her lips. Trust might be the hardest to find. I swallowed, memories of betrayals and false leads gnawing at the edges of my mind. We'll earn it. One step at a time. The room grew colder as the light shifted, shadows lengthening like fingers reaching in. Outside the city's heartbeat quickened, cars honking, footsteps echoing off concrete, voices rising and falling like waves. Do you think anyone else remembers us? Maria asked quietly. Or have we become ghosts to them? I clenched my jaw. They have to. Because if we don't find each other, if we don't come together, they win. Her gaze hardened. Then we won't let that happen. I stood, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline sharpen my senses. The air smelled faintly of salt and rust from the nearby docks, a reminder of the world beyond this crumbling sanctuary. We move before they tighten the net, I said. Before Carl's team comes back with more than just threats. Maria grabbed her pack, slinging it over her shoulder. And if they catch us? I met her fierce eyes, the fire reflecting in mine. Then they'll learn that some things can't be erased. Not by machines, not by fear. Not by anything. She nodded, a silent vow passing between us. His city stirred louder now, alive with secrets and danger, but we were already slipping through the shadows, fractured but unbroken, ready to gather the scattered pieces of a war no one else knew was coming. Our fight was just beginning. His streets outside the safe house were slick with the remnants of last night's rain, neon reflections shimmering on the wet asphalt like fractured glass. We moved quickly but cautiously, blending into the early morning flow of the city, a river of strangers unaware of the war silently threading through their lives. Arya led the way, eyes scanning every alley, every rooftop. We're not just running, she said, voice low but fierce. We're hunting. Finding those like us, fractured, scarred, but still breathing. 2-1 I kept my hand near my jacket pocket, where a small pistol was tucked away, stolen from a careless guard during our last close call. It was more a symbol than a weapon, but it steadied my nerves. First stop, I said, pulling the map back out. The location near the docks was marked with a shaky circle. If there's anyone holding out, that's where they'll be. He took us through winding back streets, past shuttered shops and the skeletal remains of abandoned factories. The air grew thicker with salt as we neared the waterfront, the sound of waves crashing faint but constant beneath the distant hum of city life. He container yard loomed ahead, rows of rusted metal giants stacked like forgotten giants. Shadows pooled between them, hiding secrets we needed to uncover. We have to be careful, Maria whispered. This place could be a trap, or worse, a death sentence. E slipped between containers, our footsteps muffled by discarded crates and gravel. Then, a flicker of movement caught my eye, a figure stepping out from the shadows. Hold, I hissed, raising a hand. He figure froze, hands raised in surrender. A woman, mid-30s, eyes sharp but wary. Yuri TJ, right? I nodded slowly. And you are? Lena, she said. One of the fractured. Heard you were looking for others. Maria stepped forward, a tentative smile breaking through. Then we're not alone. Anna glanced around nervously. Not by a long shot. But there's more. Others scattered across the city, waiting, hiding, hoping someone finds them. I felt a surge of something fierce and raw, hope. Then we gather them. Build something they can't break. He nodded, pulling out a small device, an old comm unit, cracked but functional. I can get SU messages. Coordinates. But it's dangerous. The network is fragile, and the enemy listens. Maria's voice was steady. Danger is all we know now. Three of us stood there, the first light of dawn catching in the rust and grime, a ragtag trio in a city that wanted us erased. But we were here. We were alive. And the fight was only just beginning. 2 fractures in the network. Makeshift alliance felt fragile, like shards of glass barely held together. But in a world that tried to erase us, fragile was all we had. Enna led us through a maze of shipping containers to a hidden alcove, a small camp lit by flickering candles and a scavenged lantern. Around it, worn faces peeked out from shadows, eyes flickering with weariness and hope. These are the fractured, Lena said softly. Survivors of the implant, the experiments, the ones who refused to disappear. Any by one, they stepped forward, a mix of ages, backgrounds, all carrying their own scars. Oh, some nodded at us with recognition, others with silent questions. Trust was a currency earned in blood and fear. Maria's voice cut through the quiet. We need to connect. Coordinate. Fight back. Man stepped forward, tall, with sharp eyes and a voice rough from too many battles. I am a Marcus. We've been hiding, but it's time to stop running. He showed us a battered tablet, its screen cracked but alive with encrypted messages, maps, and intercepted communications. Their network is sprawling, but it's fractured too. We've been fighting their eyes and ears, but we can't do it alone. I studied the screen. If we can patch into this, we might turn their surveillance against them. Feed them lies. Create shadows where we can move. Arcus nodded grimly. And the more of us we bring in, the stronger we get. But we're marked. Every move tracked. Maria clenched her fists. Then we make them regret every step. Her room pulsed with a tense energy, fear, determination, and something dangerously close to hope. Outside, the city's heartbeat quickened, but inside that circle of broken fighters, a new pulse was arising. The pulse of rebellion. Aria's hand found mine in the dim light, fingers curling around with quiet strength. She squeezed, firm, steady, a simple gesture that carried a weight neither of us needed to say aloud. In that moment, the chaos outside faded. The fear, the uncertainty, the endless hunt, they all seemed a little less sharp. Her eyes met mine, fierce and unwavering. We're in this together, she said softly. I nodded, feeling the spark of something stronger than survival, something like hope. And as the night stretched on, that small squeeze was a promise. A promise we would fight. Side by side. No matter what came next. 2-3 Aria slid her arm around my shoulders, pulling me close in a steady, grounding embrace. The weight of her touch anchored me amid the storm raging inside and out. Her breath warmed my ear as she whispered, "We're not just survivors, Jay. We're a force." I leaned into her, the tension easing just enough to breathe. In that quiet moment, surrounded by fractured souls and the fragile flicker of rebellion, we found something stronger than fear. Together. Unbroken. Ready. Sweetheart, Maria murmured softly, her voice barely above a whisper as her fingers tightened gently around my arm. Before I could respond, she leaned in, brushing a tender kiss against my cheek, light, warm, be like a quiet promise amid the chaos. Had small, intimate moment cut through the darkness, a flicker of softness in a world gone brutal. I swallowed, the weight of everything pressing down, and yet, somehow, in that single touch hope bloomed. Her lips lingered for a heartbeat longer, then she pulled back just enough to meet my eyes. There was a fierce kindness there, a steady flame in the cold night. No matter what happens, she said, voice low, we face it together. I nodded, the knot of doubt inside me loosening just a little. With her beside me, the impossible suddenly felt within reach. Round us, the fractured murmured plans, whispered names, and silent vows. The war was far from over, but for the first time, I wasn't alone. And that made all the difference. The moment cracked open. The years, the fear, the pain, the endless fight, came crashing through all at once. I couldn't hold it back anymore. My knees gave way, and I collapsed into Maria's arms, body shaking with raw, unfiltered grief. She held me tight, her warmth steady against the storm raging inside me. No words, no questions. Just the silent promise that, finally, I didn't have to carry the weight alone. He wrapped me closer, her heartbeat steady against my cheek, grounding me in the chaos swirling inside. The tears came freely now, hot, relentless, each one carrying a fragment of the past I'd buried deep. Her fingers traced soothing patterns along my back, gentle but unyielding, as if telling me it was okay to fall apart. I trembled, the weight of every shattered memory pressing down, but with her arms around me it felt like I might finally breathe again. 2-4 blurred minutes folding into silence, until the shaking slowed, and the storm inside me quieted, leaving a fragile calm. Maria lifted my chin with a soft smile, eyes glistening. You're not broken. Not anymore. And for the first time, I believed her. I stayed there, crumpled against her, the heaviness in my chest easing just enough to find air between the sobs. Every fragment of pain I'd carried, the loneliness, the fear, the endless battles inside my own mind, felt less like a burden and more like a shared weight now. Her hand slid into mine, fingers intertwining, grounding me even as my world wobbled. You don't have to be strong all the time, she whispered, voice soft but fierce. Not with me. I looked up, eyes raw but searching hers for the promise I needed. We'll face the shadows together, she said, and her words wrapped around me like armor. A flicker of something like hope bloomed in the dark. Because maybe, just maybe, I could finally start to heal. Outside the safe house, Maria found an old tree standing tall amid the cracked concrete, its gnarled roots pushing through the broken ground like silent witnesses to time's scars. She settled against its rough bark, her back steady and sure. Without hesitation, I lay down on top of her, our bodies fitting together like two pieces shaped by the same storm. The weight of the world eased for a moment, no fighting, no running, just the quiet pulse of her heartbeat beneath me. Her arms circled me gently, holding me close as the city's distant noise faded into a soft hum. In that fragile stillness, I let myself rest, safe, grounded, and finally, not alone. He whispered softly against Maya, her voice like a balm. There, you don't have to be as strong right now. Let it out. Her fingers traced slow circles on my back, steady and soothing, as if every word could unravel the tight knots inside me. I closed my eyes, the floodgates finally opening, and for the first time in years, I let go, letting the pain spill free, carried away by the warmth of her touch and the quiet promise that I didn't have to carry it alone anymore. I pulled back just enough to meet her gaze, my voice trembling as years of silence spilled out. I wasn't always like this, I began, the weight of memories pressing heavy on my chest. Before they took me, before the experiments, I had a life, a family, friends, a future I thought I'd have. Maria listened, eyes never leaving mine, her hand still holding mine tight. But everything broke, I whispered. The people I loved, gone or turned against me. The scars, they're not just on my skin. They're inside, where no one can see. 2-5 I swallowed hard, the flood of truth both terrifying and freeing. I've been carrying it all alone for so long. Afraid that if I let it out, I'd fall apart. She squeezed my hand gently. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Not with me. Without a word, Maria pulled me close again, her arms wrapping around me like a shield against the past and the pain. No need for words, her presence said everything. In her embrace, I felt the weight begin to lift, if only a little, as the silence between us filled with something stronger than fear. I let myself lean into her, surrendering to the quiet comfort of being held, finally, not alone. I nuzzled into her warmth, pressing my face against the curve of her neck, breathing In the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. He rough edges of the world softened for a moment, and all the noise, the fear, the memories, the fight, faded into a quiet hum. With her close like this, the cold didn't seem quite so biting, and the night didn't feel so endless. Just us. Together. Holding on. 26 The first strike. Dawn was barely a whisper when we slipped away from the safe house, the city still wrapped in a fogged silence that blurred the edges of reality. Every breath we took tasted of tension and possibility, the air thick with the scent of rain and rust. Arya moved beside me, her eyes sharp beneath the shadow of her hood. "We've found the fractured," she said, voice low but steady. "Now it's time to take the fight to them." I nodded, heart pounding. We weren't just survivors anymore. We were something else, a spark in the darkness that they couldn't extinguish. His plan was simple but dangerous: hit the data center where Carl's team stored their control codes. If we could cripple their system, even for a moment, we'd buy time. Time to gather more allies, to build a resistance they couldn't crush. Enna joined us at the edge of the district, bringing encrypted comms and a silent determination. L. Marcus was already moving through the underground channels, mapping the complex with a precision born from years in the shadows. We moved like ghosts, silent, invisible, and deadly. His compound loomed ahead, brutal and cold, steel and glass wrapped in harsh lights and tighter security. Guards patrolled in rigid patterns, unaware that their world was about to shatter. I swallowed the rising fear and caught Maria's gaze. We fight not just for ourselves, I said, but for everyone they tried to erase. Her grip tightened on my arm. "Then let's remind them who we are." The night held its breath. And then we struck. The boom ripped through the night like thunder cracking the sky. The world exploded into chaos. I was thrown backward, slammed against cold concrete as shards of glass and debris rained down around me. My ears rang, a sharp, deafening roar drowning out everything else. Aim blossomed in my side, burning and raw, but adrenaline surged fierce and fast, pushing me to scramble up. Smoke curled in thick plumes, choking the air as alarms blared and footsteps thundered closer. Rough the haze, I saw Maria, eyes blazing, her stance unbroken as she readied for what was coming next. We had ignited the first spark. Now there was no turning back. Rough the smoke and chaos, Maria rushed to me, dropping to her knees and gently cradling my head in her hands. 27 Her touch was steady, her eyes scanning me for injuries, her voice a soft anchor amid the storm. Stay with me, Jay, she murmured, fingers brushing sweat and grime from my brow. Then as alarms blared and danger closed in, her presence grounded me, reminding me that no matter how fierce the fight, I wasn't alone. Arya's grip tightened just a fraction, steadying me as I pushed myself up. The pain flaring but drowned beneath a surge of purpose. Stay close, she said, helping me to my feet. We're not finished yet. Round us, the compound was erupting into chaos, flashing lights, shouting guards, and the relentless pounding of our pursuers closing in fast. We moved as one, slipping through the smoke-filled corridors, every step a defiant promise. Where to next? I asked, voice rough but determined. Arya's eyes flicked to a cracked panel blinking nearby. To the server room. We take out their data, cut off their control. I nodded, the weight in my side forgotten for a moment as adrenaline sharpened my focus. Together, we plunged deeper into the heart of the beast, ready to burn it down from the inside out. The hallway echoed with frantic footsteps and shouted orders, the air thick with smoke and tension. Suddenly, a sharp, searing pain exploded in my right shoulder. A bullet. I stumbled, the world tilting as heat bloomed beneath my skin, blood warm and sticky. Maria's eyes widened, but without hesitation, she grabbed my arm, steadying me. Hold on, she urged, her voice fierce and urgent. I gritted my teeth, swallowing back the shock, the pain slicing through me like fire. We're almost there, I managed, voice tight but defiant. She pressed a cloth against the wound, hands trembling just slightly. No time to stop. We finish this together. With her strength holding me up, I forced my legs to move forward, each step a battle. But AW promise I intended to keep. He corridor twisted ahead, a maze of steel and shadow, but we pushed forward, each step heavier than the last, my injured shoulder burning with every movement. Maria kept close, her breath steady beside me, eyes flicking to every corner, every sound. Almost there, she whispered, urgency threading her voice like a razor. We reached the server room door. Sleek, reinforced, humming with power. 28 Arcus's voice crackled in my earpiece. You've got maybe 2 minutes before backup arrives. Get what you can and get out. I swallowed the pain, nodding to Maria. Let's do this. He moved to override the security panel, fingers flying over the controls as I braced myself against the wall, muscles tensed, heart hammering. The door hissed open, revealing banks of blinking servers, the nerve center of their control. Maria started plugging in a device, her hands steady despite the chaos around us. Upload the virus, I said through gritted teeth. Shut them down. Behind us, footsteps thundered closer. The countdown had begun. As the device hummed to life, Maria's fingers steady on the controls, I felt a sudden surge of something fierce and real. I reached out gently, sliding 2 fingers under her chin, lifting her face toward mine. Her eyes met mine, wide, searching, fierce. Without thinking, I leaned in and pressed a soft, deliberate kiss to her lips for the first time. Him seemed to pause, chaos fading to a distant roar, as the world narrowed down to that single, electric moment between us. I pulled back, her breath caught, and a spark ignited between us, something unspoken, something undeniable. We don't have much time, she whispered, voice trembling just enough to make my heart race. For a fleeting second, nothing else mattered but that kiss, our first strike in a battle far bigger than survival. Her eyes held mine, wide and shimmering with a mix of surprise and something deeper, hope. Maybe, or the quiet strength we'd both been starving for. The virus upload beeped softly, a small victory humming through the chaos. We have to move, Maria said, her voice steady but breathless. I nodded, still feeling the warmth of that moment settle between us like a fragile shield. Together, we turned away from the servers, knowing the real fight, the one for our future, was only just beginning. Outside, alarms screamed louder, footsteps closing in, but inside, something new had been born. And with it, a promise that no matter what came next, we'd face it together. He raced through the winding corridors, the building shaking as distant explosions rocked the W foundation. My shoulder throbbed fiercely with every step, but adrenaline sharpened my senses, drowning out the pain. 29 Aria kept close, her hand gripping mine like a lifeline, guiding me through smoke and shadows. The exit loomed ahead, a sliver of cold night air and freedom. But then, gunfire. Bullets slammed into walls around us, sparks flying. Go! Maria shouted, pulling me faster. We burst through the door into the alley, the city's chaos swallowing us whole. Behind us, the compound burned, a blazing symbol of defiance. And ahead, the fractured waited. The fight wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But for the first time, we had a chance. He moment froze, the shadows closing in fast, armed figures tightening their circle around Maria. Without hesitation, I stepped forward, positioning myself between her and the danger. Not this time, I said, voice low but fierce. The weight in my injured shoulder didn't slow me, it only fueled the fire burning inside. Maria's eyes met mine, trust and determination blazing in their depths. Together, we stood back, ready to face whatever came next. Because this fight wasn't just ours anymore. It was all of ours. 30 standing together. The alley was a cage tightening around us. Shadows moved like predators, closing the distance with cold, calculated steps. Maria was surrounded, her stance fierce, but the odds stacked against her like a wall. I didn't hesitate. I stepped forward, the sharp pain in my shoulder a distant echo beneath the rush of adrenaline. My voice cut through the tension, low and resolute. Not this time. He figures froze for a heartbeat, sizing me up, but the fire in my eyes made it clear, we wouldn't back down. Aria's gaze met mine, unspoken promises passing between us. She shifted, pressing close and we fell back to back, a united front amid the chaos. Bullets tore through the air, ricocheting off metal dumpsters and cracked brick walls. The smell of gunpowder and sweat filled the cramped space. Every movement was survival, every breath a battle. I fired, then ducked as a flash of metal screamed past. Maria moved with lethal grace, disarming, striking, protecting. Time blurred, a chaotic dance of life and death. Amid the roar, a flicker of clarity, we weren't just fighting for today. We were fighting for every stolen memory, every scar that bound us. For every fractured soul who refused to be erased. The tide turned with sudden ferocity as reinforcements from our fractured network flooded the alley, guns blazing, voices shouting. Our enemies faltered, confused, overwhelmed. The balance shifted. Breathing hard, I glanced at Maria. She was bruised, bleeding, but unbroken. We stand together, I said, voice fierce. She nodded, a fierce smile breaking through the grime. Always. The city around us was still a battlefield. But for the first time, we had a chance. Because united, we were unstoppable. The adrenaline of battle still thrummed in their veins as the chaos around them faded into a distant hum. Maria's fierce eyes softened as she looked up at me, the unspoken connection between us blazing brighter than ever. Slowly, the world contracted until it was just the two of us, breathing, aching, alive. 3-1 Her fingers traced the line of pain along my shoulder, gentle and sure, grounding me in the moment. I pulled her close, the weight of everything we'd been through melting away in the heat of her touch. Your lips met with a desperate hunger, fierce and tender all at once, a release of years spent fighting, surviving, and holding back. Clothes became barriers to shed, skin pressing against skin in a raw, unguarded embrace. Every touch was a promise, of trust, of safety, of reclaiming what had been stolen. In that small, fierce space, we found refuge. Together, we were whole. And nothing could take that away. The alley had quieted, the echoes of gunfire fading into the distant pulse of the city. Breathing heavy, I turned toward Maria, her fierce gaze softened, shimmering with something raw and vulnerable beneath the grime and bruises. He stepped closer, her fingers brushing a stray lock of hair from my sweat-dampened forehead. You fought well, she whispered, voice low, laced with something I hadn't heard from her before, something tender. I swallowed hard, the ache in my shoulder throbbing but insignificant compared to the warmth rising in my chest. He leaned in, breath warm against my skin, her lips just inches from mine. You don't have to carry it all alone, Jay. Her words hung between us, a promise and a question wrapped in the quiet. I reached up, cupping her cheek gently, letting my thumb trace the line of her jaw. I'm tired of fighting alone, I confessed. I'm tired of pretending I'm strong all the time. Her eyes searched mine, dark and deep, and she smiled, a slow, knowing curve that sent a thrill through me. Good, she said softly. Because I'm not going anywhere. I closed the distance, our lips meeting in a kiss that was soft at first, tentative, testing the fragile space between us. Her hands slid up my chest, tracing the heat beneath my jacket, fingers trembling slightly as if each afraid this moment might shatter. The kiss deepened, urgency threading through every touch, every breath shared. I felt the weight of years, the pain, the loneliness, the battles, begin to unravel in her embrace. He pressed closer, her body warm against mine, and I wrapped my arms around her, holding her like the world might slip away if I let go. Her lips found my neck, a whisper of fire that sent shivers down my spine. 32J, she murmured, voice husky, let me in. I gave a shaky breath, my hands sliding down to cradle her face, as if I could hold every unspoken word there. I'm yours, I said, voice low but sure. All of me. He smiled against my skin, eyes closed, and I felt the fierce gentleness of her heart beating in time with mine. The city fell away, the war, the danger, the scars, and for a moment, there was only us. Two fractured souls finding strength in each other's arms. And in that fragile, electric stillness, we began to heal. His kiss lingered between us, soft but charged with everything we'd kept hidden, the fear, the hope, the desperate need to find something real in the wreckage. Aria's hands slid beneath my jacket, warm fingers tracing the lines of tension I hadn't known I am carried. I've waited for this, she breathed against my lips, voice trembling like a confession. I pulled her closer, the weight of the world fading with every heartbeat that matched hers. Her eyes searched mine, fierce and vulnerable, and I found myself falling, not into darkness but into her. He chaos around us, the gunfire, the danger, felt miles away, like a distant nightmare. We'd finally escaped. He pressed her forehead to mine, breath mingling, and whispered, tell me everything you're afraid to say. I hesitated, then let the walls crumble, words spilling in quiet confessions. I'm scared I'll lose you, I admitted. Scared that one day this all will tear us apart. Her smile was soft but unyielding. I'm not going anywhere. Not without a fight. Her fingers tangled in my hair, pulling me deeper into the moment, grounding me in a way nothing else could. I kissed her again, slower this time, savoring the taste of hope and the promise it carried. Stay with me, I murmured. She nodded, eyes shining. Always. The night wrapped around us like a cocoon, fragile, sacred. In that space between breaths, we found something neither war nor time could take away each other. I shifted closer, pressing the center of my body gently against hers, feeling the steady rise and fall of her breath beneath my chest. Her warmth seeped into me, a quiet comfort amid the storm of our lives. 33 Aria's arms wrapped tighter around my waist, pulling me even closer, as if to erase every distance that had ever existed between us. He whirled outside, the danger, the chaos, the scars, fell away, leaving only the steady rhythm of two hearts beating in sync. She tilted her head, lips brushing my jaw in a whisper of a kiss, soft and full of promises. I'm here, she breathed, voice low and sure. And in that moment, held like this, I believed it. That no matter what came next, we'd face it together, unbroken, unafraid. Our fight had only just begun, but for now, we found peace in each other's arms. Her fingers slid slowly along my spine, tracing patterns that sent warmth rippling through me. The world outside, the distant echoes of gunfire and sirens, felt impossibly far away, as if we were the only two people left standing. I breathed her in, the scent of rain and something uniquely hers grounding me deeper into the moment. My hands settled on her hips, pulling her even closer, our bodies aligning like two pieces finally finding their place. He smiled against my neck, a soft, almost shy curve of her lips that made my heart twist in ways I hadn't expected. You're safe here, she murmured, her voice a vow and a plea all at once. I tightened my hold, pressing my forehead against hers. With you, I can be Your breaths mingled in the quiet space between us, and for the first time in what felt like forever, the weight of the world eased, if only for a little while. He stayed like that, locked in the gentle hold of trust and desire. The night wrapping around us like a whispered promise that no matter what battles lay ahead, we'd face them side by side. Her breath hitched softly, a gentle sound that slipped past her lips, an unguarded moan that echoed the tremor of need and relief. Coursing through her. It sent a jolt through me, raw and electric, deepening the connection that bound us in that fragile moment. I brushed my fingers along her neck, feeling her pulse quicken beneath my touch, every subtle reaction a language only we understood. Her eyes fluttered closed, lips parting slightly as she leaned into me, seeking more of the warmth and comfort we both craved. That's it, I whispered, voice thick with emotion. Let yourself feel. He trembled lightly in my arms, surrendering to the safety and desire we'd found together. Two fractured souls healing in the quiet hum of the night. The fragile moment shattered. The distant clicking of guns being cocked echoed through the alley, sharp and unforgiving. Maria stiffened in my arms, eyes snapping open, fierce and alert. 3-4 I tightened my grip around her, every nerve on fire. Trouble, I whispered. We broke apart instantly, backs against the wall, ready. Because the fight never really ends. But this time, we faced it together. He cold steel of weapons glinted in the dim light as shadows moved closer, voices low but filled with menace. Maria's gaze locked with mine, steady, unyielding. We need to get out now, she urged, voice sharp as adrenaline surged again. I nodded, swallowing the sting in my shoulder, and scanned for an escape route. A narrow fire escape ladder caught my eye, a chance. The risky. Up there, I said, pointing. Without hesitation, we moved, slipping through the shadows like ghosts. The world was chaos, every step a gamble, but the fierce pulse between us gave me strength. He climbed, breath ragged, hearts pounding, not just from the chase, but from the unspoken promise that whatever came next, we'd face it side by side. 3-5 into the shadows. Night swallowed us whole as we scrambled up the rusted fire escape, each rung groaning beneath our weight. The city lights flickered below, distant and indifferent to our fight. Aria's grip was fierce on my arm, steadying me as pain flared in my shoulder with every movement. We can't stop now, she urged, eyes scanning the dark rooftops ahead. I nodded, pushing past the ache, focusing on the narrow path ahead, one step at a time. At the top, we slipped onto the rooftop, the cool air biting through the sweat and grime. Below, the sounds of pursuit faded, swallowed by the maze of alleyways and streets. For a moment, we simply stood there, chests heaving, the city sprawling beneath us like a living map of broken promises and hidden dangers. Maria reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. This is just the beginning. Her words settled in the air between us, a challenge, a warning, and a promise. Together, we vanished into the night, shadows among shadows, ready to take the fight deeper. The rooftop was cold beneath our feet, the rough concrete biting through the thin soles of my boots. The city stretched endlessly around us, a tangle of lights and shadows that felt as restless as our own racing hearts. Aria leaned into me for a moment, her breath warm against my neck, grounding me when the pain flared anew. You're stronger than you think, Jay, she whispered. I swallowed the sting in my shoulder and nodded. Not without you. He moved silently along the ledge, careful not to attract attention, each step measured and sure. Below, the city murmured, a mix of distant sirens, the hum of traffic, and the restless pulse of a place that never truly slept. Where to now? I asked, voice barely a breath. Aria glanced toward the horizon, eyes narrowing. The old subway tunnels. We can disappear there, make a stand. I nodded, trusting her instinct as always. He descended from the rooftop, slipping through shadows and back alleys. Every sound was magnified. The scrape of a shoe, a distant shout, reminders that danger lurked everywhere. He weight in my shoulder was a constant reminder of the fight we'd just survived. But every step forward felt like reclaiming a little more of myself. Arya kept close, fingers brushing against my side whenever I faltered, steadying me like a lifeline. He entrance to the subway was hidden beneath a rusted grate, half covered by trash and tea weeds. Maria pried it open with a grunt, and we slipped down into the cool darkness. 36 tunnel air was thick and stale, a stark contrast to the sharp night breeze above. The faint drip of water echoed through the cavernous space, a slow, haunting rhythm. He paused for a moment, letting our eyes adjust. The dim glow of distant emergency lights cast long shadows that danced along the walls. This place feels like home, Maria said softly, a wry smile tugging at her lips. I laughed quietly, the sound strange in the heavy silence. Not exactly the Ritz, but it'll do. We moved deeper into the tunnels, the weight of the city pressing in around us. Narrow passages were a labyrinth, but Maria knew them well. Her footsteps confident, unerring. Here she said, stopping before a heavy steel door covered in rust. This is the safe room. I pushed it open, revealing a small space lined with crates and old equipment. Flickering monitors cast a pale light, illuminating faces worn but determined. Inside, fractured souls gathered, faces marked by pain but bright with resolve. Marcus stepped forward, eyes sharp as he took in my injury. You took a hit. I forced a grin. Worth it. Maria caught my gaze and squeezed my hand. We need to rest, regroup. Women approached, offering bandages and water, her touch gentle despite the harsher surroundings. The room buzzed with quiet conversations, plans being whispered, names exchanged. Despite the fatigue, the fire of rebellion burned brighter here. Arcus pulled me aside, voice low. We've intercepted chatter. They're mobilizing a new Strike M team. My stomach tightened. How fast? Hours. Maybe less. Maria's eyes flashed with determination. Then we don't have time to waste. We gathered around a battered table, maps and digital grids spread before us. This is where they'll hit next, Marcus said, pointing to a cluster of buildings near the city center. I traced a finger along the lines. We need to be ready. Maria nodded. And we need to bring more fractured in. Strength in numbers. The room fell into a tense silence, broken only by the distant rumble of trains above. A young man stepped forward, voice steady. I can get messages out. Call in reinforcements. I met his eyes, feeling the weight of hope and fear mingling there. Maria's hand found mine again, her grip a steady anchor. We're not just surviving, she said softly. We're fighting back. The hours blurred, plans laid, weapons checked, alliances forged in whispered vows. 37